to Good Morning Football, presented by Michelin, live in Times Square at NFL Experience, New York City, Monday, August 20th. My name's Kay. Kyle Brandt is here. Sans boot.
I'm back in shoes for the first time in 2 months. The Achilles is on the mend.
And those
Welcome
are new
back.
shoes,
Thank
huh?
you. Not bad, right?
Those are pretty new.
I took them out of Nate's closet.
I dig. Nate's birthday. You're taking things out of his closet.
Always. That's my present to you, Nate. That's
Happy
the way
birthday.
it goes.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Work family. Appreciate all the birthday wishes out there. Love you guys.
All right, Peter Schrager, what you got?
I feel great.
You just want to
Kyle's
get
out of
to the
boot.
segment.
You're wearing this amazing yellow, and Nate, it's his birthday.
I'm a vision in yellow.
Always.
Nate, birthday boy.
Got your gold jacket.
Representing Leo gang. Leo season, baby.
Right.
Leo season to Mahomes season. A lot of football played since we last sat here at the breakfast table. Let's hit the lead block with some highlights. Nate, what happened with the Bengals and the Cowboys? Dak showed up.
I got you. Dak did show up, Kay. You're right about that. Dak Prescott hosting the Bengals. And here it is, first quarter. Dak Prescott dropping back. Who's he looking for? The new addition, Allen Hurns.
I like it.
But it's a little bit too high for Hurns. The Cowboys would settle for a field goal. The Cowboys lead 3-0. Next Cowboys possession, Dak Prescott. How about this? Hitting Michael Gallup right there. You see Dak Prescott using those feet within the pocket, and he's going to have to do that a little bit this year. Empty backfield. Here we go. Terrence Williams right there. Oh, that's Gallup right there, excuse me. He's going to find Terrence Williams right here in the back of the end zone. Here we go, delivering what is a beautiful ball, but what's more impressive is how he negotiates the pocket with his feet. Check him out. Spinning out to his left side, keeping his helmet up, trying to figure out where he wants to go with the ball. Hits his wide receiver. And Dak Prescott, I'm just going to say this, without Witten, without Dez Bryant, he's going to be all right. He's going to do his thing. Trying to get a rhythm early in this one. Dak Prescott, he would lead this game, 10 for 15, 86 yards and a TD on 3 drives. But here we are. This is what you don't want to see. Zach Martin on an injury right here. He would get his legs taken out by Drake Kirkpatrick on that one. He would miss the rest of the game with a knee injury.
Maybe the best guard in football.
We'll have more on that later. You're right about that, Trey. And here is Andy Dalton looking for A.J. Green.
Number 6 on my list.
Number 6 on the list. Some say the best receiver in football. We just want to see more from him. We didn't see it on this one. Overthrows him once again. Andy could not connect with his number 1 wide receiver. But that is going to finish it right there. The Bengals, they would win 21-13. But the starters, for the most part, looked all right.
Love it. All right, with that, let's welcome in our very own NFL Network insider, Ian Rappaport, this morning. Let's talk about Zach Martin going down with that knee injury in Saturday's game. A brutal loss. So how concerned should Cowboys fans be?
Only moderately concerned. And, of course, anytime you're all-pro, perennial Pro Bowl guard, $84 million guard, goes down holding his knee, it's something that we should probably take notice of. But it does sound like, based on the test that Zach Martin had on his knee over the weekend, that he's going to come out fine. The diagnosis is a hyperextended knee and a bone bruise. That's it. No ligament damage for Zach Martin. Something that probably is going to keep him off the field through the balance of the preseason. But based on everything I've heard, this is something that the Cowboys do believe will be okay by week 1. And they are optimistic, Kay, that when they get out there for the opener, that Zach Martin will be out there with them.
Ian, surprising to hear that the Bengals terminated the contract of safety George Aloka. He started 76 games for them over the last 5 seasons. Why make that decision right now?
Yeah, my understanding is this was purely a financial decision, Nate. He was set to make almost $6 million in salary, which, given the safety market, is a lot of money. And, of course, the Bengals probably not the highest spending team in the NFL, to put it mildly. So they made a financial decision here, cutting a player, as you mentioned it, one of the linchpins of their defense, big-time playmaker, and just has been a rock on the back end. He is now all of a sudden a free agent, and he is getting a lot of interest. His agent right now sorting through some offers, trying to figure out kind of which way to turn now. You know, a lot of times when players get released toward the end of training camp, they have to wait a little bit, especially veterans. The interest here, it sounds like this one actually could be wrapped up fairly quickly for teams that need safeties, and believe me, there are a lot of them. This is a pretty nice gift at the end of training camp. George Aloka is going to end up absolutely fine out of this.
Yeah, his phone will be ringing off the hook. We appreciate you, Ian Rappaport. We'll talk to you more throughout the day right here on NFL Network. More highlights ahead, but we've got to hit what we learned.
Awesome. Anything
on the Aloka? Anything I want to talk about? No. Cowboys?
Curious.
We're all good?
Yeah, curious if the Raiders might be involved. They've got a lot of holes, and he's a former Bengal, so is Paul Gunther, defensive coordinator.
I dig that. All right, 2 full weeks of preseason.
Okay.
in the books. Dress rehearsal this week. Let's go around the table and share what we learned after week 2.
If you see me blushing, it's because I'm in love. All right? And let me get into this. I found love. I have my wife, Erica, but I found a second love.
Shout out to Erica.
Shout out to Erica.
Do it, Peter.
His name's Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm in love. But before I get to it, there's this feeling in sports media circles that the NBA, though dwarfed in actual TV ratings, like runs Twitter and is cooler, right? This past summer, there were articles, a big PR push from the NBA, and even a promo with Twitter convincing us that NBA Twitter is where it's at. That's where the conversation lies. After a big dunk or a blocked shot or a silly missed high five, you go to Twitter to see NBA memes and GIFs, and that's great. Well, NBA Twitter, watch out, because you've met your match. And his name is Patrick Mahomes. Yeah! All right, no Draymond Green stare down, no Matthew Dellavedova facial expression, no Drew Gooden mid-range jumper ever has blown up my phone, my timeline, or the internet like Patrick Mahomes' thing of beauty, 70-yard bomb in the air Friday night to Tyreek Hill. This thing!
Release the Kraken!
Look at it! It is so good!
Peter!
Stupid.
Calm me down. Peter, turn it up here. Get me. Okay, guys, this thing blew up Twitter. It was from a preseason game on a Friday night when there are a million other things to do in the summer.
Tyreek tracking that ball, turn around multiple ways.
Peter?
Forget about Tyreek. Ugh, it's about Mahomes.
Peter, was it good for you?
Oh, my God, was it good. I'll have
You want a
he's
cigarette?
helping. If you logged into Twitter on Friday night, you would have thought
cigarette for Peter?
this was as big a cultural moment Friday night as Man Walking on the Moon or the Beatles visiting Ed Sullivan. Here's the secret. Something I've been trying to tell all of you. Gifts I've been trying to tell you.
That's true.
Since they traded away Alex Smith, it might be like this every single Sunday because Mahomes is a freak and that arm is a cannon and that he is a gift from the football gods. And if there's an NBA equivalent, it's not Jordan with the rings or Magic with all the grace in the behind the back.
You got
It's Dominique Wilkins.
the human highlight film.
The colors even are the same. Oh my God. Patrick Mahomes is the NFL's human highlight reel. And get ready because at least once a week for the rest of the season,
70-yard passes?
he will do this.
Wow.
He will throw a pass that is so divine, so outstanding, so mesmerizing that you are going to think it was photoshopped or done in some Michael Vick sport drink commercial.
Haters gonna think it's fake.
Mahomes may throw more picks and interceptions this year. Or touchdowns this year. I'll give you that. That's fine. But the NFL's got plenty of really efficient quarterbacks. If you are a fan of Alex Smith and Andy Dalton and Sam Bradford, that's fine. If that's just have at it. I'm a Mahomes guy. I'll take the big splash. I'll take the highlight guy. I'll take the man who will break Twitter once a week. I just want to welcome all of you to the Patrick Mahomes era. It has officially begun. It is going to be fabulous. I am driving the train and the bandwagon is almost full. I was almost protective Friday night when I saw these other people on Twitter.
Sure.
Oh, Mahomes can really swing. No, that's my guy.
Stay away from my
Stay
man.
with my man. All right, it's almost full, but get on board while you still can because in a couple of weeks it's going to be all aboard and I don't want your love. Patrick Mahomes, I'm here for it. I don't care if he goes 6 and 10 and throw 100 picks. Give me one of those a week.
It was a ridiculous
It was
throw.
so awesome.
Triggs, well said.
I feel like the next morning you got up and had breakfast wearing Mahomes' shirt. You know
I had a
what I mean?
robe on, I'll tell you.
Right. And it wasn't technically 70 yards, Peter, by the way. You know what I'm saying? You see me working?
It was a little less than 70.
I'm glad you're happy. We're all glad you're happy.
We add Orlando Scandrick now on
got a robe
defense. Lots to
That's it?
look forward to. What is what? Oh my God.
He said he had a robe on.
How was the wake-up?
Watching the highlights.
Generous?
It was still there.
Oh, man. I love it, buddy. I love
That
it.
out is key. I love that. All right, so we were watching the Jags and the Vikings, and that's the game that I was super excited about because I said both of these teams can go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And then the take, speaking of Twitter and what goes on Twitter, Kirk Cousins doesn't have it. Kirk Cousins is struggling. That offensive line is struggling. And maybe there's some truth to that, or it's just that Yannick Ngakoue is that scary. He is going to be a nightmare for quarterbacks all season long because he established himself as a presence in the league last year. Even on our show, he talked about how great he wants to be. Take a look.
How do you want fans, how do you want people, how do you want your peers to see you now?
Definitely just the fans first. The fans, you got to know, coming into the season, when you talk about the best edge rushers, you have to really focus in on the AFC South when you go to Jacksonville. It's a guy there with the number 91 that's holding it down over there. Getting a lot of strip sacks, getting his quarterback the ball back, and giving his team a chance to win. So, it's a special guy playing in the AFC South and the whole league.
He was wearing off-white before anybody was even wearing off-white. That was a long time ago. All right, so he had 12 sacks last year, second most on the team. He had led the league in strip sacks with 7. He's got the cross chop, everything working for him. He feels disrespected, you can tell. And he's young. He's only 23. There's a lot in the league. Voted 88th on the list of top 100 players. I know he didn't like that. He wants to be the best. He wants to be all-pro. And it's really Big Ben. You got sacked by him. Russell Wilson, you really left tackles he's faced. You're going to vote him 88th out of 100. He's a nightmare. Miles Jack, his teammate, said if he's fighting a grizzly bear, help the grizzly bear. That's what he says about Yannick Ngakoue. And I love that. And even in a preseason game, if you have any questions about his motivation, him wanting to be the best in the league, look at him on the sideline at the end of a preseason game. This is, of course, our friend Brett covering the game here towards the end. Can they pull it off? These are the twos out there.
He's jumping.
He's hyped.
It's like it's the AFC title game. We need it. Oh, that's awesome.
I like the jerseys, too.
Yeah.
Super clean.
So he's the reason Kirk Cousins didn't have a great night. He's the reason Andrew Luck's going to have nightmares this year. And he's so passionate, and he's also fun. And he had a celebration. I don't know if you guys saw after he sacked Kirk Cousins. This is what it was.
There it is, and look, everyone went nuts.
Done. Hip thrusting into space.
All right, question number.
There it is, and look,
Is that his celebration?
Yeah, he got it.
He thrusted? We can't show it. He went for a third thrust, right?
Got a flag.
He got flagged. We can't show it on air.
Two bumps.
But that was pretty much it.
That was it.
You guys get the idea.
Sums it
No
up.
idea. Yannick's on his way to dominating this league.
Yes,
I feel like
100% agree. Might be my favorite player to watch this.
I hear you. I feel like when we're doing Jags highlights on Monday and Yannick gets a sack, we're all going to go ballistic. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's so excited,
100%.
rooting for it so hard. That's
We got
awesome.
a flag for excessive thrusting.
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of that going on.
2-pump
this
maximum.
weekend.
That's it.
Right.
There was a lot of that going on this weekend.
Well, did you hear Peter talk about the Chiefs?
Congratulations.
No. Who are you talking to? Wrong alley, my friend. All right. What I learned this weekend, it is time to pour the wine and spike the juice. Let me tell you what I mean. Jimmy Garoppolo and Deshaun Watson played each other this weekend, both in their own different ways, small sample-sized guys, all right? They're both guys who are about to be superstars. I've seen enough. And let me start with Jimmy, all right? He's up in wine country, right? If you go to a fancy restaurant, so they do the thing where they come over and they pour you the little dollop of wine, and then you do the 5 S's. You swirl, sniff, sip, savor, and then swallow, all right? And then you decide, pour it or refuse it. Let me tell you, in the case of Pinot Garoppolo, pour the wine. Pour this thing, because Peter's going to freak out about the Mahomes throw. I saw a throw this weekend that was just danced on the tongue like an estate Riesling. Show me the throw. He has no receivers. He's it was a one-year one. Look, Garoppolo just sitting back, rush. Now, this is absolute precision. I love it. Peter, you can have your mileage. I will take accuracy, because I've seen enough, guys. He looked sharp. He was 10 of 12 throwing. And right now, the 5 S's for Garoppolo are strong, savior, sacrosanct, sexy, and Super Bowl. He will get there. I am in for the Garoppolo wine, the Garoppolo estate. Now, as far as Watson goes, Deshaun Watson, the other side of the field, sometimes we get a little glimpse of real talent when you know something's coming. What I mean by that, Jonah Hill has got one scene in the 40-year-old version. One scene, and it was so hilarious. You knew something was coming. Next thing in the eBay store, next thing you get to Superbad, and it's the Oscars, Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg's on the deep cover soundtrack, raps on the Chronic, and that leads to a massive album whose name I will not say. Over the weekend, Deshaun Watson ran around, he looked loose, he threw a touchdown pass. This is Watson's Superbad season. I've seen enough. He is back. This is Superbad, and as it pertains to Snoop, I can tell you what style it's going to be for Deshaun Watson this weekend. With Watson, it's about to get busy in this mother like we always do about this time, guys. Garoppolo and Watson are back. They are ready. Pour the wine and spike the juice. I've seen enough. 2 superstars who are going to launch this fall, Jimmy and Deshaun. They're ready. I've seen it.
2 weeks away.
It's good
Love
stuff,
it.
man. Listen, how do I bring this home? Because you guys are on fire
Good
this
luck.
morning. Good luck is right. All right, so what I learned that sitting is the new starting. We've been watching these preseason games, and yes, we've seen some of our starters, but we also seen some of our favorite players sitting on the sideline, because these teams, they want to make sure that they start the season off with their guys healthy. Now, here's the advantages. Of course, the advantage is keeping your vets healthy. The backups get an opportunity. And you get to show your poker face, of course. You're not showing all of your plays. You have a basic playbook. And you can use all of the plays that you want in the regular season, so your chips are all the way in when the season starts. Disadvantages, well, there's, let me think. There's, well, when you really break it down, there's There's no disadvantages to your starter being on the sideline is what I'm trying to say. There's nothing worse than things ending early. When you really think about it, it's the Chappelle Show. It ended like that. I wish somebody would have went to Dave Chappelle and said, hey, man, just sit this one out, come back when you're ready, just continue the season. You know, Roseanne, they rebooted. Maybe somebody should have went to Roseanne and said, hey, just sit this one out. Just don't tweet out anything because you might ruin the reboot. You know, for me, I'm looking at all these things that happen that are over before they get started. There's a good night's sleep. Something wakes you up. You wish you can go back to sleep. There's a vacation. Something ruined that. You're like, oh, we were just enjoying ourselves. And there is something like a first kiss, and it just ends so quickly. So while you're sitting there saying, why aren't these guys starting, you don't want them to see their seasons get kissed goodbye like OBJ and David Johnson last year, and it derails your whole season. You want that kiss to last forever. So sitting is the new starting, because when they start the season, your favorite superstars are going to be all right.
Sitting is the new start.
It's hard to wait.
I love that. You guys can tweet the show at #GMFB. Tell me more about this Chris Warren character.
Oh, he's a monster.
Yeah? Well, we're talking about him. He's a great